Okay, so Mehul said that why don't we come and talk to not mostly our employees, but our partners who are working with us, who are experts in this space, and tell us something which will be a learning session for everyone. So I said, I'm not an interview expert, but I can talk from my experience in terms of what we can do. So as I was sitting in this forum, I realized that you guys are, like gurus in your technology. Someone is machine learning, someone is Java, someone is Python, someone is, the lady said, what else did you say? Data science and so on. So these are all technologies which are post I went out of, the engineering and stuff. So, but what I wanted to tell you today essentially was about an element of interaction with the candidates which is prior to your technology assessment. Okay, so it's very important for you to also give that piece and have the knowledge of that piece as well. No questions on your technology assessment, but this piece probably would fit little before that assessment, maybe for 1/3 or 1/2 of the interview, so that guy becomes comfortable before we start bombarding him with technology and coding and everything else, right? And then do the assessment. So this is myself, so thanks for introduction. So post my work experience, I did my certifications from International Coaching Federation on life coaching, executive coaching, mentorship, and neuro-linguistic program certification and so on. So that makes me kind of a certified coach as well as, but my experience really, is what you can leverage from in terms of, in case you have any issues in terms of management interview related stuff. Okay, so if you really realize the art of what's interview, before we started interviewing, it's an art of conversation, right? So it is, which is must in this world, which is very complicated and complex, a lot of meshes and everything. So asking right questions is what essentially gives us the insights to broadening our understanding for the specific candidate, correct? Now, having said that, interviews are, and what do the best interview guys do? Best of interview guys would put the candidate at ease up front. And when I say they would put candidates at ease up front, is that he should feel comfortable in talking about his technology, his life, his experiences, and hence you get to know about things which are not part of the CV or read between the lines. That's the objective, correct? Otherwise, we have a JD, we have the resume, and you say, this resume fits well, and let's go ahead and close that. But that doesn't happen, correct? There's lots of things which are between the lines, which as an expert interviewer, we have to unearth and we have to get to forward and make it happen. So that's essentially that's putting the candidate at ease for him to open up and tell you the truth. Or even if he's trying to move around, you can figure out, because you're experts as well, from technology at least, right? Now, and we've seen why are people like FloCareer in the business today? Because companies like Wipro and Mindtree, what is the two things, two corporates which I can hear from a conversation here, because interviews are very time consuming, right? And their core competency of Wipro or someone else in corporates is not taking interviews. They want to run a business of software development or software services or IT hardware or whatever. So what happens is these time-consuming things also hog a lot of resources from these organizations. Hence, they say, hey, let me give this job to experts like FloCareer. And hence, FloCareer has people who are experts like you, right? Who are technology experts and so on. But what we have also seen, that traditional qualitative interviewing is now changing. It is giving way to database, data-centric, and survey-centric, and net-based, and search-related interviews, right? So, having said that, this is the time when asking open-ended questions and get so the quantitative data is available because of survey, search, Google, XYZ, but the qualitative data is missing, and that is where people like us come into it. So to find out that specific data which is specific to that person, which makes him the ideal candidate for that job, correct? And I also want to make this session very, while this is a learning session, please make it very interactive. You ask me any question, and I will have some bit of questions in between for you all as well. Okay?
So I can add to that what you are just mentioning is, this belong. You must have heard about belong. Right? So they try to do this. Oh, I will just look around your LinkedIn post, this and that, to figure out whether you are fit for the job or not.
Right.
So those kind of data. Let's look at the Twitter post, and LinkedIn post, and this and that. That kind of data is already up there in the web.
And that kind of data is standard. You say, hey, this kind of data is standard for everyone. But what's the difference here is what Mail is trying to find out. Exactly. And that's why everybody of you people are here.
The problem there is, two observations there. People who are posting these things are usually sometimes not really good at what they are doing, right? If you look at your 10 best friends, who are good at the technology, they are not really actively posting in Twitter. Here is the latest DevOps or something. So that's where,
Exactly. So asking open-ended questions essentially helps us to reach the data we were saying, the qualitative data, not the quantitative data. The quantitative data is standard and available with everyone on the net to download and images. Okay, so. And that is where each candidate is different because his or her specific problems, concerns, and challenges. Right? So this is the context which I want to set as we move forward in terms of here. What I wanted to tell you was what are the aspects of interviewing that we will cover in next 10, 15 or minutes in terms of. So what are the most important ones? There are many, but preparing, and the gentleman said, and in fact most of them said be prepared on the job description and understand. So very important. Preparing, asking open-ended questions, listen, and listen. It's not a test for you. See, we have a tendency of chipping in the 2 cents of ours every time. Every time. True. The moment I'm thinking, I'm talking to someone. If I'm taking an interview and if the candidate is telling me, I have switched my mind from thinking of learning from him to how will I respond to his question, whatever he's saying.
Very true.
What are my 2 cents which I will put the moment he ends? I don't even allow him to finish it. I just jump in a tone and give my 2 cents. That is not active listening. That is destroying the guy's thought. And jumping onto, and he gets saying, why are you putting the words in? Why are you putting the words in his mouth? Let him tell you are not interviewing. You are just so very, very important. Look out of a clean window. And I'll tell you, this is a Canadian journalist who drew this theory, and I will share that with you. So this is what we will cover. Now, art of interviewing, preparing for interview. Now, when we are preparing for interview, we are actually taking an observer's role. It's not an interview for us. We are only asking, and we are helping to that person to tell us more and absorb more, and any biases which we have against how the guy is looking, where does it come from, which city, which religion. What background, which companies you work for, leave it aside. Just keep an open mind. No biases involved before you start the interview. Okay? The objective is to gain valuable information. Please understand, the quantitative data we have through net and surveys and everything. What we want you to find out, what we want as a team to find out is qualitative data, which is very specific to what the person is doing, experiences, likes, dislikes, technology. Reading between the lines is and that's essentially the data. Clearly understand what we want. So this is essentially the JD part. We clearly want to understand what is that we want from that person. So it is our job also that we cannot interview everybody. So we say which JD matches this job profile the most, correct? And that's our job, because see, people are desperate, and I've been in the business for some time now on coaching side, at least for 2 years. I have seen people from Fortune 500 companies coming and say, I want to write 3 forms of my resumes. One for technical, one for management, one for business. Believe me. Because he says, because I want to be applicable for this line of business, that, and this one as well. So basically what I'm trying to say is the guy will apply anyway, but it's from our perspective not to waste his time or our time. We select the right candidate for matching the job description. So that's essentially the point I'm trying to make. Choose the right, so that you can answer the question. We should not have a dumb guy there, sitting. Respect the genuinity, respect and be genuinely interested in that what candidate is saying. Okay? And it's essentially that builds the candidate's trust. See, technology में क्या होता है? There is no much of a trust factor required because he's knowing or not knowing the technology. But before he starts telling you, see, in all said and done, interview makes everybody nervous. I have not seen anyone who says, I'm going for an interview and I don't care. Right? So it is essential to earn his interest and get interested in knowing what he's going to say. So find ways to create pleasant atmosphere that welcomes deep conversations, and you can find out information between the lines, more about which is the qualitative data. Right? So this is essentially, any questions please stand up and ask me, or you can ask me sitting as well. So second point is ask open-ended questions. Very important. Sometimes they say, okay, I've seen this data is there in your resume. He says yes. But if you say, why is this data not there? It's saying, yeah, because it's not there, because I was doing this, that. So he is elaborating. So open-ended questions start with what, why, how, when, where. And if these words are not enough, you can essentially ask, and words like tell and just tell me, we say typically tell me what are you doing? Tell me what is it, correct? We speak to people, right? And okay, can you describe this? Then he will open up and tell you. So this is how open-ended questions are. So closed-ended questions end up and lead to no yes situation, which also add to your knowledge, right? It only frustrates you probably because you're asking those kind of questions. And that guy also, it's not adding to anyone. He's saying yes, no, right? So that's important. So let's consider this. How does it feel to buy a first house? Yeah, it feels great. I have a lot of savings. I've taken a place which suits me. My family is happy and express. If you say, do you feel stressed of buying this first house of yours? He says no. So this is how open-ended questions are very important for us to ask and get them incorporated in our technology interviews as well. Okay, so this, because open-ended questions lead to more information, which is interesting, and that's what we want to know. Okay? Next is listen, and listen. Very important again. So great interviewers are also great listeners. So I'm sure you guys are, interviewing is your kind of job. So listen is, because that's what makes you great, okay? And and I told you, don't interrupt the candidate when he's thinking. You put a question, and he's thinking yours, you put another question. He's thinking it, and then we add something else more. He's already nervous a little bit. Any interview that I would be nervous. He's nervous, and you shatter his thought process, and you shatter his confidence. So please don't do that. We would benefit from becoming more active listeners, because these are the questions we can say. In what way? What do you mean? Can you give me examples? So he will elaborate on, because you're talking his language. Whatever he said, you're telling me, give me more. So he says, yes, he's listening, his confidence goes up, and he elaborates more. Then he gives me more data, and that's where you get your clarity. Which is probably not on. Summing up, another technique is, he said something and you summarize that. You summarize that in your words and say, hey, this is what you mean. He says, yes, exactly. Or he changes what you probably, which is not registered with you in your mind. Okay? So that's another thing. Actively, and let me tell you guys, probably in interviews for 2.5 years with FloCareer, but you have good amount of 10, 12, 15 years of experience in the industry as well. You would have taken lots of interviews for people working for you in your team, for all you know, or your peers or something. So active listening takes practice. So if just be wholly with that guy and don't interrupt, keep silent. Only when he's finished, ask another question. Okay? So and it comes with experience as well. Be prepared. So typically what happens is we feel, hey, we are swanky working for FloCareer and hiring people for Wipro. Interviews will go like this and so on and so forth. It doesn't happen. Sometimes interviews go totally haywire. But that's okay. Don't worry. That happens. So we have set, JD set, questions set. The candidate doesn't turn up. Or even if it turns up, the connection doesn't happen. You said, if the connection is not good, he's not able to hear you, it's all gone down the drain, right? So if something happens, don't worry, cool it happens. Technology will fail more often than not.
That is not in our hands.
It's not in our hands. But don't get frustrated because this can happen and it's okay. Okay? Give candidates space so that they can tell their story. So that's very, very important. Okay? Now, this is very important. Look out of a clean window.
One point to add.
Yeah.
From previous, when the listening, that's very important. But at the same time, when you're summing up in your own words, it's actually giving the confidence to the candidate also, saying
Absolutely.
that you are technically good enough to actually interview. That builds a confidence that makes him sure that everything that he's answering going forward cannot beat around the bush. It should be in line,
precise, to the point,
absolutely
relevant.
All those things will help you a lot when you're really summing up properly.
Absolutely. And if there's something missing out, you can probe, is this also relevant to this? Then you say, oh yeah, then elaborate on that, right? So which is good thing. Thank you so much. So according to Canadian journalist John Swarsky, he explains, the best questions are like clean windows. See, this is, you notice both these windows, right? That's blurred with a film, right? You can just have a look, go turn back. And the same thing is clean window here, right? The glass pane. So the best question is like a clean window. A clean window gives a perfect view of the outside, what is happening. When we ask a question, we want to get when we ask a question, that means we see a window in between, our image of the outside. Then when we put values to our question, when we go further deep in putting values, terms, conditions, X, Y, Z, it's like putting dirt on the window. It obscures the view of the lake or whatever is the image out beyond it. And if we do something like that, it will not give you the image of something at all. So if you're not able to allow the guy to speak or give him confidence or keep probing him all the time, it's like blank, you will not get anything from the other side. So this is essentially what it is. The candidate should be looking. So what is that we have to do? The candidate should be looking at the lake and telling their story. Without, just like they should be not noticing the window. So candidates shouldn't notice the window questions being asked. So the way we have to ask the questions is that he should not feel, the moment you put him on ease, he should not feel that you're asking questions. It's a discussion. It's a common conversation which you're having. In between you asking questions as well. That is how the interviews should be done. Ideally. Right? So going forward, now more games. Okay. Now, following inquiries are permissible. So you guys are experts. Tell me one question per table or more. what are some of the permissible questions that you ask the guy? Apart from technology, or even technology. Technology, forget with technology has the same answer. Apart from technology, what kind of questions do you ask? It's permissible.
How's the weather?
Oh, weather is a good question. If you're in US interviewing someone from India or India, vice versa, make that sense. That's a good question. This is a very good question because it's hot here. And you're interviewing someone from Delhi. He said, are you frying pan or fire? Or whatever, right? 45 degrees. Yes, sir. Tell me anyone from the state.
In the end of interview, generally I ask, do you have any questions?
Okay, fine. But that's it. I mean, but that is at the end of the interview. Any permissible questions throughout the interview?
Kind of rapport building questions you are.
Yeah, okay.
Why are you looking for a change?
Oh yeah, why not?
Hobbies.
Right? Hobbies, okay. That table?
Probably you try to initiate a story from his side about his experience, just to initiate the talk, that how long he's working, how was the experience, probably
Absolutely.
connecting to the technology, not directly going with the, particular technology question, to relate a story.
Oh,
and
to
create
let
a
him
story
open
of
up a
that.
little bit. Yeah, absolutely. We'll start initiating, writing, telling the story. Yes, someone from the table.
Why would you like to change the job?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, I generally start in a little different way. First thing is naturally yes. I need to tell him that I have read his profile.
Wonderful.
So I will make sure that I tell him, okay, I understand you are working in this discipline, so this is your is what it is, and then I will understand and ask him what is actually what is naturally the general questions of why you're moving, what's your expectation in the new place that you're actually looking out for. Additionally, understand what is his passion in life.
Yeah.
Why is he looking? What is that he wants to do going forward? What is that he doesn't like in the current organization? So just to get that feel of it, like whether he's really interested or he's just scouting. There are two ways to look at it. So just understand that part of it and then start the conversation. Not just going into that. The conversation takes good enough time for me. Because in my normal office interviews, I spend at least 10 to 15 minutes to understand the intent of the person first.
Absolutely.
Is he really interested or is he just scouting?
Perfect. That's very good.
Good point.
Anyone else wants to contribute? Yeah.
Two questions. Generally, one to make him comfortable, other to understand his daily routine in the world. Like how was the day today? I mean, in general, our traffic, how it is going to office, and that kind of general question. Second one is about the work where generally what you do today. I mean, not exactly the specifics of the work, but say he did go today, or generally how did he spend his work life, right? And that will give you some idea about what kind of work is doing.
Sure. Okay.
You have some point.
Yeah. Yeah.
My interest is knowing that what it change that.
Okay.
Need them to move.
Sure. So change of career.
Competent enough,
Yeah.
or just they were really.
Which is not a job change, but a career change, you say.
Correct.
Okay, cool. Which takes a lot of time to settle down and start afresh and everything. Anybody else? Yeah, good.
I came across one question which was very intriguing. That tell me something about yourself which is not on the resume.
Oh yeah, that's a
Simple question, but surprisingly difficult for people to answer.
But Melba, see, point is what we are trying to also do. Our qualitative questions are exactly finding out what is not on the resume, right? Resume तो हमको पता हमें पढ़ लिया. We are probing specific things which are not on the resume also. Anyway, good point. Good. So here we are. So applicants' objective, whether meeting his or meeting the. See, we also have to, while we are asking all these questions, we also have to know whether applicant is meeting the objective level criteria from set for the job. Correct? And what is objective level criteria? Education, expertise, training, work experience. Now, interviewers also have a JD, and JD is absolutely JD is the Bible for us when we interview. And what does JD provide? Which JDs are provided by employers. A JD will have details on education experience. So JD is elaborating the whole thing over and above the objective level criteria, right? Which is experience, responsibilities, duties, reporting, level logs, structure, travel, involved, XYZ. Correct? And this is all permissible. You can ask these questions. You need to know whether guys will be able to travel for project implementations, X, Y, Z, not. So, and then of course, interviewer should be able to articulate the objective basis of hiring decisions and so on. Right. So these are permissible questions over and above what most of you all said. Fair? Now, one more question. The following inquiries should be strictly avoided as interviewing questions. So, can you tell me from the other ladies just sitting and not contributing at all, but then give her an opportunity? I know she probably might have got married very recently. And,
That's the question.
That's that is absolutely a non-permissible question. You should have said, sorry, you're not supposed to be asking that. Yes.
Being a lady, I've been asked many times, what's your physical? It's more on the personal aspect.
Okay.
That's a very subtle.
That is, yeah, that's more on the family way and everything, right?
Yes.
Got
And in fact, it all happened that when I started my career, I literally, I felt like, if somebody's asking me questions, should I say that whether I'm married or not married, just keep quiet.
Yeah, that's
the
very good point. Very good point.
Basically, this is very relevant for our US interviews.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Probably we should not go on a discussion of a salary.
Upfront, yes.
For technical interview, you should not
100%.
Now it is not being allowed to ask a salary also. Let the HR team are probably, I'm not sure if they are allowed to ask also or not, but being in a technical interview, we should not.
We don't have to do it. Absolutely wonderful point. Anyone else from this table? From this table?
It was
Like personal questions which might take the candidate into some awkward situation should be avoided.
Absolutely, good point. This table?
Anything which is not relevant, personal, which is not relevant to the job, I wouldn't say job description, but at the same time, not relevant to the discussion at all. Why do we even bring it? We don't need to bring it.
Absolutely. Second table?
Maybe based on the experience, we should not put some kind of question. Say, for example, if you are interviewing a earlier candidate, you could not say why you didn't get spoon.
Okay.
So you cannot raise that kind of question.
Sure. Okay, last table?
All these things.
No question is not answering the question. Okay, let me give you some questions. So, direct or indirect, they are related to race, color, religion, nationality, absolutely. Okay. Inquiries related to age, sex, disability, sexual orientation, absolutely no. And that's the important point. Inquiries, the lady was telling. Inquiries about marital status, number, age, children, future childbearing plans. Then information about tax, insurance, it only can be done when you're hired. So that can be initiated at that point. Inquiries about disability, health, or medical condition. Work compensation history. Previous or current medication. Maiden name. Change her or his name. Birthplace, native language, relatives, physical characteristics such as figure, height, weight, church, whether you follow your atheist, whatever you're doing, mosque, temple, church, gurdwara. No. Particular religion, religious ethics groups, financial status, including home ownership, loans, expenses, and then retirement plans as well. So let me tell you, as a coach, when I'm doing life coaching or career coaching, these are some of the questions which I definitely want to know. Because, especially career transition and career coaches, absolutely I want to know. But that remains between me. I don't document that to the employer or to the parent organization if I'm doing an assignment for someone. Because then I can consult them in the right way. This is the data which, as a coach, I need to understand, especially on the career side, how the guy is doing and where he should be going by when. But not as
your approach is
absolutely.
The way you mentor, the way you coach changes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So these are the questions. With this, thank you so much. And any questions, let me know. Any questions? Management, work, business, leadership. I will count till 10. 10.
More of comments, I would say, because all these things are principles, for sure.
Right.
That is the way you do things. But it's all a matter of how you adjust yourself depending on the other side, makes a lot of difference.
100%.
For example, when you ask, make him comfortable, start telling a story, he will probably start from birth and go on all the way to that. So you need to stop him at some point and say, okay, enough of it, I know what I know, but I'm clear, have my agenda very clear. What is expectation out of the video?
Very good.
Make him more comfortable, but stop him. Where
Stop
it's
him if the road is non-ending.
No, make sure of that.
If he's still in the infancy stage. Wonderful point. Good.
Another important thing is the preparation is again the one which actually ties your time properly.
Right.
So if you are preparing, naturally you prepare in such a way that what is that you want to get out of the interview and the amount of time you are allocating for such kind of discussion. So there you allow him to tell the story but within the time limits.
Absolutely.
And stop him when he is not really meeting the criteria.
Exactly.
And then allow him to move forward so that you want to really cover everything what is supposed to be done.
Absolutely.
Very good points.
Good. If there are no questions, thank you so much. Or there is something. Yeah.
So guys, reluctant. For example, I took an example. He was reluctant to write the code.
Yeah.
So how do you convince him without hurting him?
Now, see, if he is absolutely clear that he doesn't want to write because probably he's not abreast of the technology or he cannot write anymore. His syntax, his language fluency, his language familiarity is not there. Maybe he says, that's why I don't want to write the code anymore. Or his logic to do flow charts in his mind and then translate that into code is not there. That's one reason. Or he feels that his ego is getting hurt because his 18 years kind of experience and you're telling him to write a code.
But you have to convince him.
No, so beyond a point you cannot. You can't really okay, thank you so much. Ask the questions if the guy is relevant for something else. For coding, this guy is no. But for something else, understand what he wants to do. Maybe he's a manager type, project manager or something, or program manager or something around the technologies who sits on top of the guys who code. That's also fine. 18, 20 years, fine. So
I think we can nudge him a bit.
Yes.
Just say that, are you sure, this job would require
Yeah.
so,
but if it's absolutely no, then we cannot do anything.
What if the guy is not able to write the fresh code, but he is very comfortable with Google? How will you judge those things?
The questions usually we have is some basic we'll probably go through some of the questions. And programmers are supposed to know those.
No, he knows, but he cannot write the fresh code. He can bring the code from the Google.
No, in that case, see,
My kid can do that.
somehow I respectfully disagree because everything is available on Google. If you take that criteria, right, you don't have to interview at all.
Some people are good integrator.
Yeah.
Right, absolutely. But at
So
certain
they
moment
can-
of
they can
time,
pick the code from the Google and integrate it, and collectively the
But-
output is made faster and
But
more
as an interviewer, it's your job to find whether
Right.
he's doing that or is able to do it for himself. And that is where you have to rate him.
And the job description says that he's supposed to be doing code.
Yeah, exactly.
Not really bringing code and putting it.
That is for you to find out. Okay, guys, thank you so much. If there are no questions, and great talking to you. I'm here to lunch, so if there is anything, we can cover. Thank you.